Property is nothing but location, location, and location. This is the first time in the history of me collecting the real estate market is where I see the sales price and supply, all three are growing. A market should be in the range of say 16 to 18 trillion rupees worth of the market, and it is contributing around 7% of the GDP.
I think I'm going to remember that the next time I have to look for an investment in real estate. Hello and welcome to Real Advice on Real Estate, a flagship podcast by Birla Estates. My name is Nikhil Taneja, and this is where we will get real about the ups, downs, what's, whys and trends about real estate. Today we have Mr. Pankaj Kapoor, who is the founder of Liases, Foras, a thought leader in real estate research and analytics. With over 20 years of experience, Mr. Kapoor has redefined the way we perceive market dynamics by introducing transparent and data-driven insights. His pioneering work has made Liases Foras a trusted name for policymakers, investors, and development alike. Thank you, Mr. Kapoor, for being here. How are you feeling?
Thank you very much. I'm feeling excited to be here.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you done something like this before?
I've done once.
We're very, very excited to have you and to make you a little bit more comfortable. We have a few questions which we're going to ask you, which are a segment called The First Thing. You have to answer these questions in as quickly as you possibly can. This will just help the guest to know you a little bit better before we get into the market expertise of the work that you do. The first question for me would be, what's your first memory of growing up in your home? Given that we talk about real estate, I would love to know a little bit about your own home.
It's a very interesting question. It's like, I hailed up in Lucknow, and where the homes were connected to each other. You can roam around from one roof to another roofs, and then my childhood time went about flying kites, and then playing cricket onto the terraces and meeting friends and all those things. So my memory for the home and my first home is more exterior than the interior. So I will spend more time on the terraces meeting friends, and the house actually was a place where the happiness and the friendships and the socializing and the neighborhood and the things associated with where the life unfolds happily actually belongs to. And it's very nice questions, really. It's very nostalgic, making you more nostalgic, but this has been a memory of my childhood home and my first home where I belong.
Yeah, I love that you said about being exterior rather than interior, because I feel like in today's world there is just such little space that we don't really get to be as outside as we'd like, except that of course some of the good builders out there are still trying to make sure that everyone has an exterior life. So I'm so happy that you spoke about that. What's the first home you bought, and why did you buy that particular home?
So first home I bought in 2001. And it was my struggling phase of the real estate, my own entrepreneur journey and things like it. So I was barely making money and things like it. Although I got married and I got a son. So the home actually was a security and a stability for me. And I bought it because I found that it was a productive phase of the market, because we were coming out of the recession of 95-96. The prices had corrected, and I bought in Kandivali in Andheri, in Mumbai.
In Bombay, yeah.
And I knew that the area will grow quite well, and I bought at a price of 1691 rupees per square feet during the time. And from there the current prices have grown to almost 30,000 rupees per square feet.
Wow.
So I bought it because of the stability. I was getting into a proper family. I had a son, and then I'm also looking at the price appreciations, and I knew that the timing was correct to really own.
Clearly, it was clearly great timing. Which part of Kandivali did you buy it in?
Thakur village.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
We have our own, my parents have bought a home in Lokhandwala in Kandivali.
I say.
I love that area. So
Yeah.
wonderful. We're neighbors in some way.
Absolutely.
What's the first time you felt that real estate can be your career?
In fact, it was a long story for of me being an entrepreneur. So I was working with one of the developer who had a project in Bangalore, and they wanted to, and it was planned on the lines of Beverly Hills and Palm Springs in US, gated community projects in the Dodwallapur. And that was the first time someone told me to develop a pricing rationale for real estate market, which was supposed to be submitted to the international consultant. So I got an assignment to really do or develop a pricing rationale for real estate, and which intrigued me so much.
Wow.
More time I spent in that. So the real estate actually is the very unique product in the world, and which and its immobility differentiates its any other product in the world, because rest all the products are mobile. So you buy a phone and you can carry the phone, but when you buy a house, you get yourself exported to house rather than you carry the house. So it is very contextual. So you actually don't buy a product, you buy a package. You buy a location, you buy infrastructure, you buy a neighborhood, you buy securities, insecurities, and many other things which comes along with that. And that intrigued me so much. And I realized one thing, although it's a space which has a coordinate and it has its interactability, but it is the least studied segment in the real estate. So if you look at हम मार्स में पहुंच गए, हम मून पे पहुंच गए, हमने चंद्रयान पहुंचा दिया, सब कुछ कर दिया, तो हम आउटर स्पेस पे तो जल्दी पहुंच रहे हैं, लेकिन हमने अभी इनर स्पेस की स्टडी में इतना ध्यान नहीं दिया. So I just realized it's highly underserved industry.
Correct.
And that is where, and it's very mesmerizing. And you see that the city have a patterns. There is a reason for their establishment. There's a reason for its constitutions. There are factors really which works together. And when the broker sells you property, he says that property is nothing but location, location, and location. And you ask them what these three locations are, and people don't have really answers. They may be having answers in the subconscious mind and things like it. And I started figuring out like which are the factors, what is influencing, why I'm buying in which place, how the urban setting gets really formed, why there is an order, how is the price pattern, why from south to the north the price has a declining trends in Mumbai, why the cities are like an ink blot, why it is circular, why Mumbai is not circular. So some of these patterns and all those things has intrigued me so much that I actually last 30 years spent time researching it, built in a couple of theories, which is predicting current prices as well as future price. And I find that real estate is very predictable.
Interesting.
Very predictable. Yeah.
I mean, you find it predictable because you have you've created and built an expertise in it, which is what we actually are here to hear from you. But I loved so much of what you said. This term of location. I think I'm going to remember that the next time I have to look for an investment in real estate. Let me finally ask you in this segment, what's the first time you felt proud of working in this career, in this area of expertise?
I'm saying that all through my journey has been and very greatly supported by first the developer community and then the mortgage industry's players and things like it. Yeah. And although it has been a struggling phase, because when I started, no one needed a research and the data because everything used to get sold. We had limitations of supply, and then the demand itself was way too high that builder never needed a research and data and many other things. I continued living in my pursuit, in my search and the research, and that is where continuity remained. But all through the kind of appreciations you get for the work from the industries, sitting across to you, doing a podcast for Birla itself is a very prestigious thing, is someone choosing me. And so it has been a proud moment all through the journey, and it is still a proud moment sitting across and talking to you.
Well, that's very kind of you, sir, and we are so grateful to have you on our podcast, given the expertise you have in this domain that not everybody has. And speaking to that, because आपने बोला भी that when you started off, there was no one really had an understanding of what you're doing with research and data. So let me actually ask you this, and I love asking this question to every guest on the podcast. How would you explain what you do, which is obviously very complex and nuanced, to a 12th grader or 12th? Let me just rephrase that. How would you explain what you do to a 12-year-old kid?
See, I've been collecting data, and with certain hypotheses that I'm looking at these data to answer some research questions.
Okay.
And these data actually became a byproduct to solve some questions of various market participants who are developers, who are lenders, who are individuals who are buying the property. So they look at, the individuals looks at these data to identify which is the best house, is it a right time of the purchasing the property, and what could be the risk related to the builders, micro market, with the location will develop or not develop, what kind of influence, where should I purchase, why I should purchase. So these are some of these answers which is answered through these particular data. Banks, HFCs and lenders use it to identify the mortgage opportunities, like which are the selling projects, micro markets, builders, so that they can reach out to them to secure the business.
Sir, I'm assuming आप जिन 12 साल के लोगों से बात करते हो बहुत ही ज़्यादा intelligent हैं, because your explanation is it's fantastic. I doubt a young kid is going to understand, but I suppose that also speaks to the work you do. It is complex. It's not simple work, and you have a domain expertise that many of us lack, and that's what makes you where you have reached. That's what's helped you reach where you have in your career. So let me actually now move on that and speak very specifically to that expertise, because you do understand real estate better than any of us. It remains a booming sector. You've been at it for almost 30 years now, which is obviously an incredible amount of time. What do you think, sir, are the key factors that drive the sector and that continue to excite you about it, given that you seem to be really passionate about it?
When it comes to the India point of view, I'm talking about, like, the driving force is the demand. We are a housing shortage country, so we need more and more houses. And the key factors influencing this particular sector, especially the real estate, when it comes to, is populations, density, economic hubs, infrastructure connecting those economic hubs, so the interactability comes in. So there is a demand quotient, because we are a housing shortage country, so there are enough consumer who wants to really purchase these particular property. Then there are interactability. So I always say that the people buy on the basis of where they work. So आप जो है एक शहर से दूसरे शहर अपने जॉब की वजह से माइग्रेट कर जाते हैं, और आप घर वहीं खरीदते हैं जहाँ पे आपका जॉब है.
Correct.
So the job and its interactability to your house is very, very important. And more than your house, your own job, आप थोड़ी सी टॉलरेंस बढ़ा लेंगे, लेकिन अगर आपकी वाइफ भी काम कर रही हैं तो आप ज़्यादा प्रेफरेंसेस अपनी वाइफ के वर्क स्पेस को देंगे. देन आपका चिल्ड्रंस हैं तो उनका स्कूल है, कॉलेज है, तो उनके आपकी लाइफ के कनेक्टेड बहुत सारे जो फैक्टर्स हैं उसको इंटरेक्ट करने वाले जो और उसकी इंटरेक्टेबिलिटी के बेसिस से के घर का चुनाव होता है. और उसके बाद ये होता है कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है वो कैसा डेवलप्ड हो रहा है, सोशल फिज़िकल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, जिससे आपकी इम्प्रूवमेंट कनेक्टिविटी सब कुछ बढ़ती रहती है. तो ये सारे फैक्टर्स होते हैं. सो ये डिमांड साइड फैक्टर्स हो गए. प्राइस साइड भी ज़्यादातर यही फैक्टर होते हैं कि आपकी डेंसिटी कितनी ज़्यादा है लोकेशन पे. तो मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ लैंड का जो वैल्यू है वो वेट ऑन पीपल ऑन लैंड है.
सॉरी वापस बोलेंगे.
सो लैंड शुड बी वैल्यूड बेस्ड ऑन द वेट ऑन पीपल ऑन द लैंड.
इंटरेस्टिंग.
सो और जितने रिच लोग होंगे उस लैंड के ऊपर उतना ज़्यादा उसका भाव होगा. तो एक्चुअली बड़ा सिंपल है कि लैंड का भाव कैसे डिटरमाइन होना चाहिए कि अगर आप पेडर रोड पे चले जाइए तो वहाँ पे ज़्यादा एफ्लुएंट पीपल रहते हैं तो वहाँ की लैंड का भाव बहुत ज़्यादा होगा. और आप बाहर चले जाइए एक्सटीरियर्स में चले जाइए तो आप वो देखेंगे वहाँ की लैंड का भाव कम होता चला जाता है क्योंकि और वहाँ पे क्योंकि लोअर डेंसिटी होती है. तो एक ये डेंसिटी का फैक्टर हो जाता है. और ये डेंसिटी क्रिएट होती है आपके इकोनॉमिक हब्स के बेसिस के ऊपर, जोग्राफिकल एट्रीब्यूट्स के बेसिस के ऊपर, उसकी इंटरेक्टेबिलिटी के ऊपर.
Which of the factors is something that excites you the most about this sector?
We have had a problem of affordability in the real estate sector. So if you look at it, like largely because the city got expanded because of the price rather than infrastructure in past. So अगर आपको affordable housing करना होता चाहिए तो आप 80 किलोमीटर 90 किलोमीटर अपने जॉब से जाना पड़ेगा और वहाँ आप रह नहीं सकते. तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर जो है वो मुझे सबसे ज़्यादा एक्साइट कर रहा है जो अभी चालू हुआ है यहाँ पे. और जिस तरीके का इकोनॉमिक डिस्पर्शन चालू होगा. पहले सिटी जो है वो कॉन्सेंट्रिक सर्किल में बनती रहती थी और हायर डेंसिटी होती रहती थी क्योंकि हर आदमी अपने जॉब के पास आना चाहता है तो वहाँ डिमांड ज़्यादा बढ़ती रहती है. बट अभी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कनेक्टिविटी की वजह से हमने ज़्यादा लैंड कनेक्ट कर दी. तो मैं एक बड़ा सिंपल एग्जांपल सोचता हूँ कि क्यों एक्साइट कर रहा है. एक मुंबई नावाशावा दैट ट्रांस हार्बर ब्रिज जो बन करके आया जिसने शिवरी को नवी मुंबई से कनेक्ट किया. 20 किलोमीटर का ब्रिज है. पहले आपको लोअर परेल या वर्ली से आपको उल्वे जाने में करीब 2-2.5 घंटे लगते थे.
बहुत ज़्यादा. आज
मैं शिवरी पे खड़ा हूँ और शिवरी पे मैं कुछ एक प्रोजेक्ट देख रहा था जिसकी वैल्यू करीब 3 BHK 12 करोड़ की थी.
वाह.
ओके. फिर मैंने सोचा कि खाना खा लूँ. वक्त बहुत हो गया तो लंच का समय था तो मैंने रेस्टोरेंट ढूंढने की कोशिश की तो मुझे रेस्टोरेंट नहीं दिख रहे थे आजू बाजू में अच्छे. तो मैंने सोचा ट्रांस हार्बर पकड़ करके मैं उल्वे जाके खाना खा लेता हूँ. तो मैं ट्रांस हार्बर पकड़ कर उल्वे गया और मैं 20 मिनट में पहुँच गया. जिसको पहुँचने में करीब पहले 2 घंटे 2.5 घंटे लग रहे थे अब मैं वहाँ पे 20 मिनट में पहुँच गया. फिर क्वेश्चंस बहुत सारे उभरने लगे मन के अंदर कि मैं 12 करोड़ का घर शिवरी में क्यों खरीदूं जब मैं 2 करोड़ और 2.5 करोड़ में 4 BHK उल्वे में ख़रीद सकता हूं जो 20 मिनट में मुझे पहुंचा देगा. सो ये जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशंस होगा रियल इस्टेट सेक्टर के अंदर जिससे आपने लैंड की एफिशिएंसीज बढ़ा दी, आपने मोर लैंड कनेक्ट कर दी जिसमें आपका डिमांड का परकोलेशंस एक जगह से दूसरे जगह पे शिफ्ट होगा. क्योंकि आप 2-3 फैक्टर के ऊपर आपकी अफोर्डेबिलिटी डिफाइन करती है कि आप कहाँ एलिजिबल हैं घर खरीदने के लिए.
बिल्कुल.
तो आपकी एलिजिबिलिटी इम्प्रूव हो रही है एक कम शॉर्ट पीरियड में. आप अगर लोअर परेल में काम कर रहे हैं फिर भी आप उल्वे में जाके रह सकते हैं. पहले ये नहीं हो सकता था. तो ये जो आस्पेक्ट्स है इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एंड कनेक्टिविटी ये सबसे ज़्यादा मुझको जो है वो एक्साइट करती हैं.
I fully agree. I think जिस तरीके से fortunately over the last many years we've seen India grow and the India story grow, I think that also makes any investor or homeowner or potential homeowner also feel very excited about this sector because आप you want to put your roots, जैसे आपने बोला भी था initially कि आप घर के आसपास अपनी दुनिया build करते हो. And I love what you said. I think it's something that all of us are excited about. So I want to ask, what do you think about residential performance? Because we are talking about the growth of India's economy and the growing aspirations because of that. But are there any sub-segments, any topologies or any regions that you find doing specifically well? particularly when it comes to residential?
So residential, if you look at, has been a growth story post-COVID.
Correct.
And why COVID? Because during the COVID time, we got the prices and affordabilities parity, which was as good as of 2004, 2005. 2017, we got a reset for the real estate industry. We saw the RERA coming in.
Correct.
We saw changes into and the reforms taking place in terms of housing policies and many other things. And because of that, we saw a stagnancy in the prices from 2016 till 2021. And the COVID actually came as a blessing in disguise. That is where the consumer came in, because it was a time where the price and affordability was having a parity. Interest rate also came in. So we have seen a absolutely great phase of this. So from 2018 right now, we have doubled the sales.
Wow.
Virtually at all India level. If you look
Wow.
at, we are doing close to 6 lakh crore rupees worth of the builder sales. And same thing is, and builder market is just 1/3 of the overall market. And then you take resale, and then you take your independent house market, which the consumer buy the land and build their own houses and things like it. So that translates into a market should be in the range of, say, 16 to 18 trillion rupees worth of the market, and it is contributing around 7% of the GDP. So it's a large market. It has been growing, and the growth happened post-COVID, and it is continuous. And very interesting thing is, during the COVID time, what has changed is the people's realization that they need the home and they need a bigger home actually got ignited, because they were locked in quite some time. So and that is where we saw upgradation demand really ignited the market. So the people who had the houses sold the old houses and moved into a bigger houses. And that is where the luxury and ultra luxury segments boom also has taken place.
Yeah.
So at all India level, we are selling close to 6 lakhs units. 30% of the unit contributes luxury and ultra luxury, which is over 2 crore properties, 2 crore ticket size property. But in terms of the value, it contributes 70%. So that clearly indicates that the luxury, ultra luxury was a fashion of the market. But otherwise, the market is in the form of the trapezium. The mid segment actually contributes the highest, which is in the bracket of 50 to 1 crore in terms of the number of units. This is a ticket size. And the 2 BHK is the most preferred this thing, because your family requirement gets sufficed within that particular 2 BHK. 1 BHK is a striver, so the first time home buyer, the one who can't afford a 2 BHK, compromises to live into a 1 BHK. And 3 BHK, 4 BHK is mostly upgradation demand, and that's also is growing right now. So right now 2 BHK, 3 BHK, 4 BHK and 1 BHK. This is my rank order in terms of the typology.
So you said 2 BHK, 3 BHK, 4 BHK and then 1 BHK in terms of demand.
Yeah, so right now, otherwise it happens 2 BHK, 3 BHK and 1 BHK.
Wow. So 4 BHK has basically entered into the segment and has become like a big thing.
Yeah, 3 are bigger market. 4 and 1 may be more or less same. In terms of the value, it could be, or a square feet. But 1 BHK more in terms of units.
No, absolutely. It's incredible, and it speaks to the aspiration of India and the Indian story. So I mean, it's so much that you said that I wanted to ask about, but I specifically, you mentioned about luxury and you mentioned about how that's a booming segment. I particularly wanted to talk about luxury when it comes to Mumbai, because I mean, of course, you are also part of the same city as I am, and would love to understand your perspective. How has the luxury segment in Mumbai growing? What kind of growth have you seen over the last few years?
So if you see, the per square feet rate is the highest in Mumbai. So it goes as high as 1,60,000, 2 lakh rupees per square feet, to going down to as low as, if I talk about MMR, 4,000, 5,000 rupees per square feet. So there is a very big gradation of the property prices available, and being a linear cities now, since Trans Harbour and the infrastructure is going to be connecting more lands, but because the islands and limited land availability, and city has a high population density, the prices are higher. So luxury is predominant in terms of supply side. When you look at anything southward of Bandra, so the luxury and ultra luxury continues to be only certain pockets where the demographic densities are low, where we have got mid and the semi luxury segment which is there. But the luxury is there, and we have seen unprecedented growth in the new launch. But during the COVID time, when the upgradation demand picked up, and a lot of these properties got ready during this particular period, so it was really picked up by the investors and the people. So there was actually very limited supply which was left over, and then because of the certain discounts the government offered in the premium, we saw a boom in the redevelopment segment. So a lot of supply has got introduced in the market. So I see that luxury housing is seeing a replenishment. So the old supply got really consumed up, and new supply is coming in. And it is, and because the new supply is coming, there are better sales also which is taking, because builders are giving offers and discounts. New discoveries of products is taking place. Certain locations we didn't have the much of the supply, like Walkeshwar, Pedder Road, and some of these places, Worldly Sea Faces and things like it. You would find that number of projects really getting launched. So if you go anywhere on these particular roads and all those things, earlier you would see only old buildings. Now you see old buildings getting demolished, and then there are patras all over. There are new launches which is coming in. So there is a good growth of the supply which is there. Right now it is holding up. I see there would be new definitions of a product which will also emerge in terms of the design and offering, and I also see there would be a shift and differentiations, because there would be lesser dense luxury and higher dense luxury, and that products will get differentiated.
Interesting. I definitely see a lot more hoardings and billboards about and luxury being the key word now. Whenever I'm driving through Mumbai, I see that a lot more. But I'm very curious to know, sir, how have you seen a change in behavior of the consumer over the years? I would love. Do you think that consumers today have become more aware? Do you see them having evolved significantly in the way they think about property?
Yeah, it is, and largely because they have seen a bad time also, where the builders defaulted, property prices underwent corrections. So today's consumer is more aware, more informed, and they do a lot of research. They do a lot of data analytics. So there are quite a lot of changes which is there in terms of in terms of the consumer behavior. So they go to the site, they analyze several projects, they do the comparison, and they are as expert as anyone else is. And there is also a data availability. So earlier, you wouldn't know that what price the last transactions took place in this particular projects. Today they can go to the IGR data which is digitally available. They can check that what price which is available. They can check what kind of rentals which are going on in the nearby. There are all these data sets available, that what kind of infrastructure is going to be really getting connected in the area. There are data related to AQI available, so they can know that
Quality
kind of a quality of environment in the surrounding, air qualities and many other things. And consumer are doing their evaluations and then purchasing the property. They are well informed.
Yeah, I mean, you've spoken about the expertise. I'm sure that आपको टक्कर नहीं दे पा रहे फिर भी. What about NRIs in this segment? What is it? Do you think? What have you observed from the point of view of NRIs who are investing?
So NRI's market actually the real is contributes close to 8 to 10% of the total overall pie of the market, and it improves when the rupee depreciates, because the reason, and then the property becomes cheaper for them.
Correct.
And highly global economic environment they are dependent upon. So if the global economy is doing good, if the if market is booming and all those things, and the rupee is depreciating, you would find the NRI's market really grows in these particular cities. And then if there is a downslides, which actually is right now, so there may be a little bit of subduedness in the demand, but NRI has a significant participations in the demand of the real estate sector.
Another segment I'm very particularly interested in is the millennial segment, because you can see now young people having more disposable income. You see that they are feeling very bullish about the real estate sector. So what are you observing among millennials, and as a millennial myself, I'm very curious to know what are other millennials thinking.
I see there are a lot of things which really influences this. One thing is that millennials and are major participants of the consumer in this. So look at the age bracket of 35-45 is all the millennials are touching 48 now, from 29 to 48 age brackets and things like it. So this is one bracket which really participates maximum. So 50% of the sales comes from this particular segment.
Oh, wow.
And they are the one who actually are raising the family. So they are seeing a kid. They are getting married, and their requirement for home is always increasing and
Correct.
things like it. So they are major participants of the market and will remain that. So going forward, so I see they have been major contributor, and they'll remain a major contributor of the market. So everyone wants to own a house because it's also provides the stabilities, and if they are buying in a time where there's a growth in the property prices, so it's always assets which appreciates in that sense. So it's one part of the investments come living for them, and that's what has been driving. So right now, although some segments of the people are looking at the rental market, but rentals in the recent times have appreciated quite high. So it would make sense for them to really choose, if they can afford, to consider buying rather than renting.
So basically buying and paying EMI versus paying that in rent.
Rent, yeah.
That's a good tip. I'm going to consider that. Do you see that from previous generations in this income bracket, millennials today are being a little bit more bullish? Are you seeing them buying more than their same age bracket in other generations before?
I've been seeing that, millennials have been a greater participants from 2004 and 5 period, when the interest rates and liberalizations in the mortgage market took place and things like it. So they were more eligible buyer, and the people purchased the property. So when I purchased the property, I was at the age of 28 in 2001, because the reason is we saw a period prior to 95-96 when the interest rates were 16%, and 2001 2002 it came down as low as 7%. So which made more eligible buyer, and I was within the same bracket where the millennials are fitting right now. And the interest rates also sub 9%. I think going forward we'll see a reductions further. So the improvement in their affordability is there, so their participation will be there higher. There are older bracket also, which are 50 plus, and all those things are participating in the market. But during the high rise in the property prices, a period of 2008 to 2012-13, although there are some people who saw good increase in their income during this period when the economic boom was going on, but post Lehman Brothers there was a correction. So I saw, since the property prices appreciated, so there was a bit of a decline in the segment because you don't earn enough to be able to put in your equity during that time, which actually post COVID have corrected. So going forward, I see this is a segment which is participating quite good, and it will continue to be participating.
And I hope you're right, because आपने जैसे बोला, the house you bought and the amount of money that you had spent per square meter and what it has become, I hope that happens with all the other millennials as well.
Yeah,
The return on investment is just as strong.
So I always say that it's very easy to gauge whether the market is productive or not productive. So if I always advise the people, don't look at 20% last year's growth in the property prices to take a decision that the property is appreciating and buying. 20% appreciation is more than the people's income. So there may be a downside risk. So if you're buying the property, so think about it. Had I bought a property in 95 and sold now, I would have made 7.5% of CAGR, annualized return.
Correct.
But if I bought in 2001 and sold in 2024, I would have made 11.5 and 12% of CAGR growth.
I also want to know, given that the world is changing as quickly as it is, are there any emerging trends that you are seeing with the economies of the world changing, with so much globalization and so many news events that are happening in quick succession?
No, it will be. And I'm saying that the biggest impact is COVID.
Okay.
Because COVID changed the behavior of working. We saw the remote working.
Correct.
And remote working actually was change in the order. Earlier it was like an location based, CBD structure. ऑफिस जाना है, ऑफिस जो है बीकेसी में है, लोअर परेल में है, और आईटी क्लस्टर्स बन जाते थे तमाम सारी. So COVID actually allowed the remote working and the flexi space. So it has created the economic dispersion. Earlier economic concentrations approach used to be there, and that is where the people will migrate from one cities to another cities. Now the job has started going back to the cities where the people belong to.
Absolutely.
I am seeing that there are IT companies who are making smaller offices in the tier 2, tier 3 cities. Lucknow mein khol diya, Jaipur mein khol diya, and they are letting people to work from there, and they are connected remotely, and this is taking place. So this is going to change the order of behavior of real estate sectors also, because we'll see maybe out migrations or the lesser amount of migrations in the larger cities, so the smaller cities may really grow. We are seeing the bigger cities getting connected through the intercities infrastructures and all those things like Trans Harbour, metro linkages and all those things, which will open up peripheral areas. You can reach farther distance in the and lesser time period. So you will see the suburban market dynamics will emerge going forward. So this is what is the transformations which we are seeing, that apart from that, the people's the liking or requirement for the design will also change. So they would probably be needing a working space in their houses.
Absolutely.
Secluded spaces.
Everyone has one now.
That is something which is there. They wouldn't mind living little farther, having those good connectivities and things like it. So I'm saying that this is what is transforming. Technology is going to really play a big role going forward. So I see economic dispersions is changing the design and the behavior of the consumer big way.
Everything that you were saying, I was actually relating so much with that, because that's been the thing that's been going on in my own mind since COVID, about how do I really need to be staying in the same city as the work? Can there be, if with hyper connectivity, can you actually be working out of another city and then coming to work, especially if you're coming, for example, for certain weekdays, or for that matter, can you be staying in areas where you work 3 days from home and then 2 days you work from an office space? So you're absolutely right. And
a lot of things have changed. So if you look at earlier, we would spend, if we have one meeting in Delhi, a person will go from Mumbai to Delhi, and for one meeting he'll spend 1.5 day and all these things. Now most of our meeting is happening through Zoom, which is changing the order.
Absolutely. So basis this, what are the observations that, or any prediction that you think 10 years from now, what will this sector look like?
The city would have different micro markets where you have a good nominal growth prospects. That means the property prices are fairly priced today, and good infrastructure connectivity will give you a fillip further because of the improvement in the travel time. So if you consider these two things, so there would be a good growth in the property prices. Technology will play a good role.
So I love what you said, because I think you are validating a lot of the hypotheses I also had about the sector. And I'm also feeling very confident about living in a world where possibly we don't have to get stuck to dense work environment and areas, but are able to freely move around. And I think that's what the growth of this sector is going to enable. But you also mentioned technology, and I'm very curious to know, given the rise of data, AI, technology, AI is like the buzzword everywhere right now. How do you see that impacting a market like ours, an economy like ours in India? Do you think that it will see a certain kind of mass adoption?
It will. I'm saying that if you see, the ChatGPT is almost part of almost everyone who is writing emails to even the poems. So question is that AI is going to really solve a lot of questions and hypotheses people will have. So there are several questions in the minds of the consumer. Will this particular developer deliver in time or not?
Interesting.
Whether the location will grow or not. So you'll be writing these questions once the data is available. And I'm saying that technology is data. So if we see that in the real estate sector, we didn't have the data. So I was the first persons to start accumulating data for real estate, but now a lot of data is getting digitized, which will be available. And the real estate requires layers of the data. It is not like, just kitna maal ban raha hai, kitna bik raha hai, aur kya price hai. People won't really look at that, how infrastructure is going to be connected, what kind of legal, technical due diligences, what kind of a market dynamics, whether the price is fair or not fair. If I am buying this property, how much it will appreciate, what kind of price correction risk, what kind of environmental factors. तो कल यहाँ पे फ्लड तो नहीं आ जाएगा, ये डूब तो नहीं जाएगी. How is going to be the AQI? People are more conscious towards the green buildings and the environment oriented, and that's largely because of the more communication which is taking place through podcast and many other things. People are more aware, and which is also transforming. So there would be a layers, and AI is going to really play a big role because it will be connecting these layers. Today everything is in silos. So there are some where the data is related to the transaction, there is somewhere related to the legalities, there is somewhere. People are highly dependent upon the locals to help them and all those things, and then at the end of it they take their gut feel basis and they get stalled, stuck up with the projects and things like it. I see the data availability will make them more informed. It will also create a headache for the developers, because the reason is the consumer who is coming cannot be sold any specific story. He'll be well informed.
Interesting.
And there would be a bigger role. So I was with one of the developer who is selling plots, and he says he doesn't have the site offices and he's selling across the cities through online. And which is hard to believe for the real estate, that the people are buying completely online. So the VR, virtual reality, augmented virtual realities, platform, 3D rotation, street data, social fabric data, and many other data once really get connected, it will help consumer. So it will expand the market. It will reduce the efficiency. It will bring in the transparency. It will be may probably see robotics coming into the constructions. That will save time in terms of constructions. I do not want to really say that it will impact the labor or not, because industry also faces a problem of skilled labor in that sense. So it will bring the efficiencies. So once the cost getting reduced, we probably will be in the better positions to bring in the equalities when it comes to the distribution of housing demand in markets. We may probably be able to provide more affordable housing in closer by locations. We may probably plan better. So I think the technology is going to really play a big role in terms of bringing the efficiencies, affordabilities, and providing equitable dividend to everyone.
So how are you using AI, sir? Is it like a competitor to you, given that you had the expertise right now and now that expertise is freely available?
Yeah, we are using LLM models and all those things, is connecting and unifying data from different sectors. So real estate has a lot of complexities and deficiencies right now. So there are several sets of the data is there, but there's no connection. So if you look at like the way Aadhaar is there, in the developed world, there's a unique ID for property. Although the government is now thinking about creating a unique ID. So the interactability of the data is not available because कोई आदमी पिन कोड लिखता है, कोई आदमी लोकेशन लिखता है, कोई आदमी अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड मैनर में एरिया लिखता है, कोई आदमी सुपर बिल्टअप एरिया लिखता है, कोई आदमी कारपेट लिखता है गवर्नमेंट के ऊपर, गवर्नमेंट के ही में आदमी बात है. तो डेटा जो है वो इतना ज़्यादा अनस्ट्रक्चर्ड है. AI is helping us in cleaning the data, is helping us in translating data, connecting data, geocoding that particular data so that we can start really seeing where the truth lies. Today, the data is, or AI we are using to see the probabilities of this statement likely to be truthful, where a lot of things are converging and things like it, which is there. But I see the next 5 years is going to be changing this particular industry big way. If you see the last budget, government itself talked about digitizing the land records. Once the land records gets digitized, you have RERA data already getting populated once the central repository takes place. So once the central connectivity takes place and we have a Aadhaar, they also talked about the unique ID for properties and things like it. I see there would be a complete transformations the way the real estate is being really catered.
So this is all sounding like great news, sir. But now I actually have a personal question in that sense. You know, as someone who's also looking to invest in real estate, how do I assess now what is a potential emerging market? You obviously said AI is a tool that can really help us. But how do I know as a potential buyer or investor where to spend the money and what will be good in the long term?
So, बड़ा सिंपल आंसर्स रहता है. मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ रेजिडेंशियल में आप तभी खरीदिए जहाँ पे अगर आप जिस प्राइस पे खरीद रहे हैं वहाँ की रेंटल भी यील्ड उसकी कैपिटल वैल्यू के हिसाब से 3% से ऊपर होगी. तो अगर 3% से ऊपर है तो आपका नॉमिनल ग्रोथ करीब 5 से 7% होगा. तो इन्फ्लेशन एडजस्टेड आप प्रॉपर्टी में ग्रोथ ले रहे हैं और 3% की ग्रोथ है तो आपका क्यूमुलेटिव ग्रोथ 10% 11% हो जाता है. तो एफडी रिटर्न्स के हिसाब से बेटर है. हैबिटेशन है लोकेशंस में तब आप खरीदिए कि वहाँ पे डेंसिटी है, कुछ है. रात में आपको क्रोसिन खरीदनी है तो आपके बाजू में दुकान है कि नहीं है. मैं हमेशा लोगों को एडवाइस देता हूँ कि आप घर दिन में तो जाके एक बार देखिए कि कहाँ खरीद रहे हैं, लेकिन रात में भी एक बार विजिट ज़रूर करिए. अगर आप वहाँ पानी की बोतल नहीं खरीद सकते, और आप घर तब खरीदिए चाहे वो आप इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए भी खरीद रहे हैं कि आप वहाँ जाके रह सकें. और ये भी बोलना गलत है कि आप जो है न्यू लोकेशंस में नहीं कीजिए जहाँ डेंसिटी लो है, लेकिन वहाँ पे आप देख लीजिए प्रोबेबिलिटी ऑफ डेंसिटी कितनी जल्दी आने वाली है. ऐसा नहीं हो कि वो इतनी डिसजॉइंट लोकेशन हो कि वहाँ पे एक हैबिटेशन आने में बहुत वक्त लग जाएगा. एक क्रिटिकल मास डेवलप होता है, उसके बाद लोकेशन की ग्रोथ होती है। एक शॉपकीपर भी दुकान आपके बाजू में तब खोलेगा जब उसके पास एनफ पॉपुलेशन है टू कैटर टू, अदरवाइज वहाँ पे सोशल फैब्रिक बन के तैयार नहीं होता है। तो कॉन्टेक्चुअली देखिए, और लोगों से ये बोलता हूँ कि ऐसा नहीं है कि सब लोग बिल्कुल पेरिफेरीज में चले जाएं अगर वहाँ पे ट्रैवल टाइम नहीं है। तो मैं एक छड़ी की भी वो है कि आपकी जितनी बड़ी छड़ी हो जाती है उतना उसे उठाने में दम लगता है, तो उसमें कैपिटल एप्रिसिएशन के जो प्रोबेबिलिटीज़ हैं वो भी कम होती हैं। तो अगर आप देखिए तो मेट्रो की कनेक्टिविटी से कांदिवली के भाव बढ़ गए अंधेरी के कंपैरिजन में, तो ग्रेडेशन था। बांद्रा के भाव बढ़ गए वर्ली सीलिंग होने के बाद की, नहीं तो वो अगर आप 10 साल पहले की बात देखते थे तो वर्ली और बांद्रा में ये प्राइस का डिफरेंसेस होता था कि वर्ली का प्राइस ज़्यादा होता था, बांद्रा का। अभी पैरिटीज़ आ गई क्योंकि सिमिलर ट्रैवल टाइम में आ रहे हैं। तो कौन कौन सी लोकेशंस में कनेक्टिविटीज़ बढ़ रही है नए इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के बेसिस से, जो आज इनकन्वीनियंट हैं और जो इम्प्रूव होने वाले हैं। जैसे अंधेरी में अगर आप वेस्ट की बात कीजिए तो कोस्टल रोड के कनेक्टिविटी के बाद से जो वेस्टर्न साइड्स ऑफ द वेस्टर्न सबब है उसकी कनेक्टिविटी में बहुत इम्प्रूवमेंट आएगा, तो यहाँ पे भी ग्रोथ के प्रॉस्पेक्ट्स हैं। तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कनेक्टिविटीज़, किस तरीके की इंडस्ट्रीज़ आ रही है आपकी आजू बाजू में, उसके हिसाब से आपकी डेंसिटी बन के आती है। एक बड़ा अच्छा और एस्पेक्ट्स है कि ये नहीं है कि कोई भी इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटीज़ विल क्रिएट डेंसिटी सराउंडिंग बिकॉज पीपल आएंगे वहाँ रहने के लिए। अब रियल इस्टेट में लैंड के प्राइस बताते हैं कि कौन सा इनकम ग्रुप वहाँ पे खरीद सकता है। तो अगर प्राइमरी और सेकेंडरी इंडस्ट्रीज आती है तो उससे लो इनकम जॉब्स बनते हैं, तो वो लोअर एंड बन के आता है। तो आप ये देखिए कि आईटी आ रही है, बीएफएस आ रही है, इंडस्ट्रीज, बैंकिंग सेक्टर्स आ रही है। तो जो हाई इनकम प्रोड्यूसिंग एम्प्लॉयमेंट है अगर वो आ रही है तो रियल एस्टेट के भाव बढ़ेंगे, साथ में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कनेक्टिविटीज़ बन के आ रही है।
दिस इज सच ग्रेट प्रैक्टिकल एडवाइस। मैं तो मतलब दिमाग में चेकलिस्ट बना रहा था, बहुत ही अच्छा एडवाइस है, थैंक यू फॉर दैट। आई थिंक दिस इज रियली लाइक it reminds me of a lot of folks that I know who are now shifting to Goa as a place to possibly stay in. So again, just great advice and fantastic trend outlook. So my final conversation in our main conversation is actually a question that I'm asking everyone. If I'm a buyer and you have to ease my anxiety about buying real estate, what's the best piece of real advice that you can give me that will make me feel a little less stressed about buying?
I see that buy in a place where you can go and live today, and it should be habitable, and it should be well connected, and provides you good rental yields which are available, assuming you were to live over there. So rentals are good in that sense. That means the capital value are fairly priced, which is there. So that is there, and so these are the major points which are there. But don't really think about आज खरीदा है कल वो भाव गिर जाएगा कि नहीं गिर जाएगा, क्योंकि market is poised at a very productive state. This is the first time in the history of me collecting the real estate market is where I see the sales price and supply, all three are growing. So it's most productive phase of the market. So you may not really go wrong unless until you are buying a property which are highly overpriced. So you may see a stagnancy of the property prices for some time.
No, I think आपने जो बहुत ही एक simple तरीके से आंसर किया है, buy a place that you would like to stay in today. I think that's fantastic one-line advice. I actually, have more. We have a really fun segment at the end where, I mean, it's fun for me, hopefully it's fun for you also. It's called 4321 Real Advice. We really want more advice from you, given that your expertise is undeniable. So it's a segment where we'll ask, some quick number-based questions, and you can give us answers that you feel can be easy to put in simple terms. So 4 tips you will give today to a first time home owner.
visit the place in night, buy a habitable location, high rental yield, and good connectivity.
Absolutely bang on. Perfect. I love that. I think visit the place at night is a tip that I feel like a lot of us miss on. So thank you so much for reiterating that, sir. 3 myths everyone has about the real estate sector that you want to break.
That the land is scarce. And we are seeing urbanization, so the land prices is continue to be growing. I see you can reduce the land prices by connecting more lands, and which we have seen in the recent times. So that is there. And so these are the 2 myths. And then there is a consolidation in the real estate market. It's not consolidation, it's a growth in the pie.
Wow.
And more smaller developer are also getting added.
Amazing. So 2 things you know about real estate that you feel nobody else does.
2 things. So I'm saying that it's very hard for me to say that I know the things which others would not really know. I actually are sensing more through vectorizing the data, and I see there is a science under which the real estate really behaves and works. There's no haphazard and irrational things. The one who have tried actually failed, and most of the times I really give example to the people that everyone knows real estate.
Yeah.
That if you were to build a Burj Dubai in Worli, what should be the price of the property? Any guess?
Today? I mean, I don't even know.
Anything, any guess? 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs rupees per square feet.
Probably more than that.
Yeah,
Right?
4 lakh rupees. But if you remove that particular Burj Dubai from Worli and put up in Vasai Virar, what would be the price?
Much lesser.
Why? The product is same. So real estate is not just a product. It has a contextual aspects which everyone subconsciously works. So I'm saying that everyone knows it. I don't really claim that I know more than anyone else.
So, but you don't just have the right answers, you also have the right questions. I see that. And I think that's probably what you know better than the rest of us. So finally, one real advice that someone else gave you that you've not been able to forget.
Someone told me that always buy the property which is beyond your reach. Although I'm not able to really give to others.
Interesting. Shah Rukh Khan apparently told that to Rajkumar Rao. We've seen that as a trending news item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it is some way I feel truth. Because the reason is after buying the property, the consumer dissonance comes back and says that I wish I would have bought one more room.
So true. So true. No, thank you, sir. I think this advice and all the real advice that you've given us today has been absolutely enormously helpful to not just me as a host, but I would imagine everybody watching this. There is such a wealth of information and knowledge that you have that I think today I feel a little bit more of I wouldn't say an expert, but at least an amateur expert in the field after talking to you. Some great advice and a great optimism about this sector that I feel after talking to you, and ultimately everything comes back from what I understand about just being more aware and just having a better understanding of what you're getting into. There are more options today than there were ever before, and if we are able to take those options, put a mind to what we want and why we want it, I think it's not very complicated to get into real estate. So I think thank you for simplifying our understanding of real estate through all the incredible work you've done in the last 30 years.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So great to have you here. And that's a wrap for today's episode. I am learning so much from this entire series and getting to dive into these incredible real estate topics. If you're hungry for more too, we have got you covered. Head over to birlaestates.com/real advice. It's packed with everything you need to know about real estate. It's got a blog, a chatbot to answer your burning questions, and so much more. Keep an ear out for our upcoming podcast too. We've got some exciting episodes in the pipeline. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Nikhil Taneja signing off. Until next time, keep exploring the fascinating world of real estate.